Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sports Now, the show where we go over and debate the biggest stories in sports for the day. I'm Josh Heller, as always joined by my co-host, Logan Ripley. Logan, how's it going today?
Hey, it's going well. We have a lot of sports to go through today, so let's get right to it, starting with the NBA. David Lee, looking to be out of Boston, power forward, great impact player for the Warriors, Knicks previously.
Yep.
They thought they had a steal when they picked him up free agency. Doesn't look like it anymore.
No. Lee was pretty much, I wouldn't say a star. He wasn't a star with the Warriors, but he was a pretty good player. In 2013-14, he played in 69 games, and he started 67 of them, 18.2 points per game. Then in 14-15, he dropped down a lot. He played in 49 games, and he started only 4 of those, where he averaged 7.9 points per game. And it's pretty much the same story in Boston. He's played in 30 games, started 4, and he's averaging 7.1 points per game. Now, I'm a Knicks fan, and I had my opinion on Derek Fisher last week. Now, you're a Celtics fan. Let me hear your fan opinion on power forward David Lee.
Well, David Lee, when we picked him up before the start of the NBA season, I thought he was going to be a great centerpiece for our team. You know, he had made the All-Star team previously, and you know you're looking to have that player. I mean, he's had a few injuries in his career, but nothing that's like to the level of Dwight Howard or someone like of his stature.
Right.
Of course, they're not the same player, but at one point, David Lee was a great rebounder and a great down low presence at the power forward position, and we needed a rim protector also. You know, he's not gonna be crazy athletic, but he could definitely put up some points, some rebounds, and for a Celtics fan, you're looking for something like that because the past 3 years we have had not a lot of production. Jared Sullinger, great player, has been injured. Kelly Olynyk, more of a finesse player than anything. Urepko, finesse also, same thing. So you're just looking for a different kind of player. But I think Amir Johnson kind of filled that role, and I think it was kind of like a battle for Brad Stevens, who could be better between the both of them, and Amir Johnson outplayed him.
So, David Lee, he's not averaging many minutes per game. Like I said, he's only started 4 this season. But if you look at the Boston Celtics situation, Lee makes $15,493,000 against the cap. That's 22% of the Boston Celtics cap space. So if they can't trade him, they're going to buy him out. Reports leaked out yesterday that they're going to buy him out. And with a cap that big, that's the biggest cap hit on the Celtics, right above Amir Johnson, who you were just talking about.
Right.
Lee just hasn't lived up to the potential. I mean, I wasn't a huge Knicks fan when he was a Knick, but I did watch a little bit, and he was really fun to watch. I don't know if it has to be injuries seem to be hindering his, he's had an injury history, but it's sad to watch him go down like this, especially considering how influential of a player he was on the Golden State Warriors.
And again, he's only averaging 7.1 points, 3 rebounds per game in 30 contests, and he hasn't played for a little while, since January 10th. So, it's kind of good to part ways, and he's a great player, great person, and we all hope the best of him and hope his career keeps going on. He finds a new, maybe upstart team that is looking for that veteran. I know a lot of people are. If it comes in a trade, that's good for Boston. If it doesn't, it'll work out for him, and I think he'll be happy to go along the ride for this end of the season and release and start up somewhere else.
Yep. Now another guy with the same story is Brooklyn Nets center Andrea Bargnani. If you remember, he was the first overall pick back in 2006 to the Raptors. He stayed there for several seasons and then left. He stayed there on a max contract, and then he was traded to the Knicks, where he stayed on the max contract, and he was, from a Knicks fan perspective, awful. He was terrible. And now they let him go in free agency, and now he's on a league minimum contract with Brooklyn, and they also said that they want to trade him, and if they can't trade him, they're going to buy him out. Now, he's a different story from Lee. He's putting up kind of similar numbers. He's played in 46 games. He started 0. In those 46 games, he's averaging 6.6 points per game and 2.1 rebounds per game. But if you look at the cap figures, he's only making $1.3 million against the cap, the league minimum for a veteran. And this is a guy in NBA 2K, I would always draft him because he was a big guy and he could shoot a great jump shot.
Right.
And I don't know. It has to be injuries are really hindering him. It's like Lee. I mean, it's a common theme among these big men and with just regular, point guards and guards and stuff like that. It's like Lee. It's sad to watch because Bargnani was a guy that had so much potential.
And a little bit different. Bargnani signed with the Nets this offseason, of course, 2-year deal for veterans minimum. Second year being a player option. He's brought in to back up Brook Lopez at the center position. We all know Brook Lopez has been great for the Nets throughout his whole career when he's been there. And, maybe they're looking to get the old Bargnani. And he was definitely a force, being a Celtics fan, as I said before. Going to play him in Toronto, he was great, him and Jose Calderon. So I don't see him staying maybe in the NBA. Maybe he goes back overseas and
maybe.
He's coveted over there.
Yep.
I'm
That's
sure.
something I didn't think of.
He might be getting a lot more money overseas rather than playing in the NBA.
Yep.
Not the same competition, but hometown man, so
right.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Logan, what's the next piece of NBA news that we have?
Well, Blake Griffin out of L.A. L.A. Clippers, of course. Maybe he goes over the block and back to the block for the L.A. Lakers. Who knows? Does it make sense for them to trade him? L.A. 18-5 without him since injury / suspension. Is it a good move? We don't know. They haven't done it.
Yes. At least I hope
who would they fill it with? They could trade him to the Hawks for Al Horford or Jeff Teague.
Yeah.
They could try
they have Chris Paul though.
They could try to get his cap out.
Yeah.
Or hold on to him for the rest of the season and try to do a sign and trade deal with Oklahoma City Thunder for Kevin Durant, who we all know is out of his contract at the end of the year, just like Blake Griffin. So maybe they'll try to flip-flop with, of course, I think Oklahoma City Thunder would get something extra on the other end of that, seeing as Blake isn't a proven scorer yet. But they're looking for someone that can, shoot outside. And I think they're playing more towards Chris Paul now. Blake Griffin has been the go-to man before. He hasn't done as well as Chris Paul, as we know last year. Chris Paul was great in the playoffs. They just need something to get over the hump. Paul at point guard, Redick at shooting guard. They're mixing in the small forward, power forward Griffin, not for long maybe, DeAndre Jordan center. So they have the guy that can rebound down low.
Yes.
Jordan can get his points sometimes, put backs, lobs. We know that. They want to be a finesse team on the outside, shoot the three. Kevin Love looks like a great choice for them if they can get that trade or get him in the offseason. One of those things. Love, of course, on a 5-year deal. Maybe they try to do something with the Cavs. We don't know.
Before we get into Griffin a little deeper, I've seen a lot of arguments about this. A one-word answer: is Kevin Love overrated?
No.
Okay.
One of the best rebounders I've ever seen, and
Okay.
He's taken too lightly in a Cavs uniform. If that guy just cut his hair and shaved, he would be amazing again. And take that headband off. You look like Jackie Moon. So that guy, if he is in the if we're switching back, I don't want the Celtics to trade for him just because I don't want to lose.
Griffin or Love?
Both.
Okay.
Really? Blake Griffin would be good, but we'd lose the Nets 2016 and 17, which are both going to be top 3 picks with the way that the Nets are looking.
Oh, yes.
Why don't we just save those, trade the other ones we have, like the Mavericks and our own, and get someone else that can fill that role? Amir Johnson's doing a great job, So, back to Blake. What do you think?
I like Blake. He's fun. He's fun to watch with all the dunts, obviously. But he's a fun player to watch, and he was traded to Oklahoma, and then the way that he dominates the post, it's not, I'm not going to say it's something we've never seen before, but he's good down there. And speaking of Kevin Love being overrated, I feel Blake's a little underrated, honestly.
He is. Yes, I agree. But
when you talk about like a sign and trade for Durant, and you're saying Griffin plus for Durant, Griffin's good, but he's not Durant good.
Exactly. You would need to add more on the back of Blake Griffin.
And I don't know their draft pick situation, so.
Picks, maybe another player.
Yeah.
I think the Clippers are looking more towards increase our bench, make it a two-way game. Bench, Doc Rivers, of course, the coach. The reason we won the 2008 championship with the Celtics because we had one of the best benches of all time. You know, the starters were older, they couldn't play as much minutes. And you're seeing Chris Paul, of course, you know, he's in his prime right now, towards the end of it. He's in his 30s. He's going to need less minutes, and I think Doc's he's realizing that. They have a great owner there, recently bought, and they're trying to get young stars, old stars, great bench, that mix, and you're going to see a champion. And someone that the Warriors are going to run into in the playoffs, and they're going to be like, wow, they look kind of like us.
Yeah.
And I think
they don't have the shooters that the Warriors have. But.
The matchup, J.J. Redick can match up with Klay Thompson. On the shooting end, not so much. Klay Thompson's a great defender.
Right.
Steph Curry, underrated defender, very good defender.
Yeah.
Great shooter, of course.
Obviously, yeah.
Chris Paul, great shooter. Defender, not a liability.
He's a wizard with the ball.
He's good, you know. Center position, I give it to Jordan.
That's close for me.
Bogut's very good.
That's close.
But once they go small, they can go small
Power
too.
forward, it's the Warriors. Draymond Green is an animal.
They can go small too. The Clippers can if they.
Yes.
Remember, they've had a lot of people hurt.
And they still have Jamal Crawford.
Who says
right?
that
Or
Blake? Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
But who says that Blake wouldn't have made them win all the games in the recent comings? Maybe they're just hitting their stride.
Yeah.
And that they wouldn't have lost those 5 games. Jamal Crawford, one of the best off the bench ever.
Yeah.
6 man. You know, he's J.J. Redick's kind of taken that role. You've seen him go hot.
Yes.
And you know he's done better than some have realized. So I'm looking to see this Clippers team really do something. And if trading Blake is that option, then they're gonna go ahead and do it. But I think they need the right haul in return, and they're looking to win now. And I could see anything happen within the next few days.
Yep. And speaking of potential trades, before we went on the air today, 2 broke down, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of Yahoo Sports The Vertical. First up, the Detroit Pistons trade Brandon Jennings, point guard, and forward Ersan Ilyasova to the Orlando Magic for a guy that was rumored to become a Knick in this offseason, Tobias Harris.
And Celtics were also pursuing him last season during the trade deadline when they picked up Isaiah Thomas.
Yep.
Of course, we all know Brandon Jennings used to play for Milwaukee Bucks. What a great point guard. Can shoot it, plays D well, gets to the rack, dishes it. That's a very decent trade, I'd say. Magic, their point guard, they just drafted a kid.
They have Alfred Payton.
Alfred Payton,
yeah.
he big hair, big
The
guy.
Weeknd.
The Weeknd. He's 6'5".
Yeah.
But he just isn't proven enough. They also speculation I've heard, Oladipo might be out too, and
I'd be surprised.
I don't know if it was either trade Harris or trade Oladipo.
I would rather trade Harris. Oladipo's
Tobias Harris has been their best player for a while, but he's older now.
Oladipo has that potential though.
Right. Yeah. I guess we're gonna. I don't know what to say about that. Even with the speculation of Oladipo gone, you don't know what they're doing in Orlando. So Brandon Jennings could help change that. They have a great center.
Yep. The Aaron Gordon, we saw him light it up this past weekend.
Jump over a person.
Oh, man.
Mascot.
We'll talk about that more.
Talk about that
show.
tomorrow on our big weekly show.
Yeah.
Ilyasova, you got to look at Brandon Jennings for Tobias Harris, I think, because I'm looking at this trade. I feel like you could go straight up Brandon Jennings to Tobias Harris. Why is Ilyasova in there? Maybe for money reasons.
Maybe.
It could be. I know they're both making decent amount.
Yep.
So I'm not sure about that, but Ilyasova, decent player, not as good as Brandon Jennings or Tobias Harris.
Yep. And the other trade that went down literally just before we came on the air, it's a 3-team trade. The Charlotte Hornets get Courtney Lee. The Memphis Grizzlies get P.J. Hairston, Chris Anderson, and 2 future Miami second-round picks. And Miami gets Brian Roberts, not the Yankees second baseman. So let's break that down a little bit.
Courtney Lee, shooting guard, played for Memphis. Great wing player. He can shoot the 3. He can play defense. And he's very athletic. I think that's a good pickup for Charlotte. P.J. Hairston, I don't know if we all know, but I know, and Josh knows, busted for smoking in the NCAA. Played for UNC. He was a great player for them. Went into not the main draft, but the supplemental draft, and which you have to give away a pick in the other draft to pick him there.
Right.
So that's how good he was. So, and he's still a young guy. He was the D League. He was one of the best D League players. So he was drafted out of there. Chris Anderson. Is that Chris Birdman Anderson?
That is Birdman.
So we know he's proven. I think Memphis comes.
I was just going to ask you, who's the winner of the deal?
All right. Bearing anything that changes tomorrow, and I'll tell you what that could change for me. Right now, Memphis won the deal. Miami, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yes.
Chris Anderson's a great power forward. PJ Harrison's got a great future. 2 second round picks. That looks good.
Yep.
Trade those for a first rounder. Courtney Lee to Charlotte. All right. If they make a trade tomorrow or in the next few hours,
what trade might that be, Logan? What trade might happen here?
Dwight Howard could be traded to Charlotte.
Okay. You sound disappointed by that.
I'm not disappointed. I don't know. I don't know if I like the Dwight Howard saga.
No, I don't either.
But I don't know where he would go in the offseason, so I think it's
I don't think he could go to a small market like Charlotte. I don't think he could go to a small market like Charlotte.
Well, we all know Michael Jordan is the GM, so maybe that could be helping him.
Maybe.
You know, GMs have had influence in the past.
Yes,
Phil
absolutely.
Jackson. So if they get Dwight Howard tomorrow, 2 separate deals, Courtney Lee could look good. Kemba Walker, they have Jeremy Lamb, Courtney Lee, Dwight Howard. They've had some injuries this season. They're looking to fill that, which we'll talk about tomorrow.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're making moves, and maybe
I just don't see it happening, honestly. Dwight Howard, I just don't see it happening to Charlotte. I don't see it.
Unless
Boston's
Dwight Howard has a no trade clause, they can do whatever they want with him.
Boston's one thing. Cleveland, a different animal. Charlotte, though.
No, you're not going to see Boston. You're not going to see the Cavs, like you said.
I don't know. Well,
I'm not going to.
They don't have room, pretty much.
Terrence, who's in there right now? Not Terrence Jones. He plays for the Rockets. We're looking at Thompson, who's a great player.
Tristan Thompson.
Along with
Kevin Love, of course.
Kevin Love. They have
Anderson
Varejao and the starter from Denver that they got last season.
Yes, Mozgov.
Timothy Mozgov. So.
Yep.
So switching gears.
Yeah. Before that.
Well, we already talked about Dwight Howard. A little bit.
One more trade. Not a trade.
Oh, all right.
Just
you got me excited.
I got you all excited. Again from Adrian Wojnarowski.
Right.
Just really quick here. The Timberwolves do not plan on trading Ricky Rubio, as it was previously suggested that they would explore it. Plans to change this summer, but as of now, they do not plan on trading.
Well, what I see from that is I can see 17-year-old Ricky Rubio beating his old self right now. He's not lived up to his potential.
Well, his injuries,
you think he I can't believe they dismantled that team with Kevin Love and him. I thought they were going to have a great run at it. I mean,
I like Wiggins more than...
They got Wiggins.
I like him more than
good.
Love.
And Levine and Shabazz Muhammad has been rumored to be
and of course,
traded.
Karl Anthony
Who's
Towns.
coming out now? Shabazz Muhammad was a very tough to look at guy in the sense of
his mother would take offense to that.
Well, in the sense of that he had some problems playing with certain people in college. So, is he a good fit for this team and any team? And now he's coming out as a good player, and I think he could be a very good point in someone's team off the bench. So,
yep.
Something Josh loves more than the NBA, MLB, and NFL.
Yes.
The NHL, the Sabres.
Yes, Buffalo Sabres. What about him, Odin?
Evander Kane. This is practice.
Yes. Evander Kane. Oh, man. He had his problems in Winnipeg when teammate Dustin Byfuglien threw his tracksuit into the shower. He seems to be an off-the-ice headache. He reminds me of Johnny Manziel in a way.
Not as closely, probably.
No, not like that.
Is he hitting girls?
No. Well, actually, now that you mention it, earlier this season he was investigated for sexual assault, but nothing came of that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Of course, it never does it?
Yeah. So he missed practice because he overslept, And where was he the night before? Well, according to his deleted Snapchat, he was partying after the NBA All-Star game. So,
which he attended.
Yep.
And was known and was reported yesterday on ESPN. So.
Yep. Kane overslept. This is per Deadspin and the Buffalo Sabres. Kane overslept at practice and will not travel with the team for tomorrow's game in Ottawa. Tomorrow being today. Bilesma, the coach of the Sabres, said we'll be dealing with it internally and he will not be playing in Ottawa. I'm disappointed. I would be too.
So
Evander Kane was a guy with a lot of potential, and it's sad to see something like that go to something like this.
So how does this affect his future?
This is just something that happens with Kane. The same thing happened with New York Islanders prospect Joshua Hossain. He overslept on the first day of training camp and was booted back to Canada.
So how, in a rank of how big is he in this organization for?
He's probably a top 3 forward for them behind Ryan O'Reilly and Jack Eichel.
So he was up in the NHL.
Oh, he's on a hot streak now. With he's been on a hot streak with his goal scoring lately. And
all right,
with
so now they're
like
looking at this like, all right, this is coming out. It's not a big deal now that he's actually playing well and he's becoming what he's supposed to be a little bit.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a 20-game suspension or something. Like they'll probably suspend him for at least a game.
So how much? All right, so one game that doesn't really influence your team.
They're in the basement.
They're
of the
in
league.
the basement
they're
of the
tanking.
league. So
yeah, they're rebuilding.
All right.
So it doesn't really affect them. It more affects Kane as a hockey player. But it's something you gotta embrace when you take on a guy like Evander Kane. He just has that personality.
All right, switching to the Flyers.
Yes, rookie defenseman Shane Gostisbehere. He was signed as a rookie out of college following his championship win with Union College right around here. He went to Flyers preseason. He made the team, and then towards the beginning of the season last season, he tore his ACL and was out for the entire year. This season, however, it's a different story. He shattered the NHL rookie defenseman scoring record. He scored a point in 11 straight games, whether it be a goal or an assist. 11 straight. Got an assist against the Rangers, I know that. But Gostisbehere, he's a defenseman, and not many defensemen win Calder trophies, but he needs to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. He's got to be up there with Panarin, Larkin, and McDavid, and Eichel, potentially. But with the Flyers' defense, they have Michael Del Zotto. He's out for a little while. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. Gostisbehere makes a big difference on them, especially paired with Radko Gudas. Say what you want about Radko Gudas. He's a little dirty, but he's a good player.
Dirty wins games.
Yeah, his advanced stats are very good, but it's nice to see a young, dynamic guy like Gostisbehere just putting the moves on an NHL veteran, just making him spin, lose his footing. Yep. It's fun to watch, honestly. And he'll be around for a while, and I can't wait for it.
All right, so over in Arizona, the ice is melting in the crease, it looks like.
Wow, what a transition.
I thought it was pretty good.
All right, so earlier this season, Mike Smith, goaltender for the Coyotes, went down for with an injury. He's been out for a little while. He should be coming back soon. But right as they prepare for his comeback, Anders Lindback, in warm-ups, suffered an Achilles injury. And he is going to have surgery, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Now, when something like this happens, they don't have another goalie. So they had Louis Domingue up, and he ended up playing the game, but they didn't have a backup. This is one of the situations where an emergency goaltender comes up. In this case, it was Nathan Schoenfeld. According to Schoenfeld, he was bathing his twins when he got the call from the Coyotes saying to come in and
So it's one of those Kurt Warner moments.
Yeah, it's one of those nice moments.
So he didn't see any action, though?
No, he was on the bench. Most of the emergency goaltenders don't see much action, but... it's a nice story that you can tell those twins someday.
Is he still paid by the... He's on the team's roster?
The way I understand it, if you're an emergency goaltender, you are paid. It's like less than $1,000, but you're paid if you have to come in. What you can do is you can have a designated emergency goalie, or you can have someone on the staff, like your goaltending coach, or, and this was a fun rule I found about last year.
Your goaltending coach can play goalie
He
for
can
it?
come in, or...
Oh, sounds amazing.
My favorite part is if you're the GM and your goaltender goes down, you can go around the arena, go, who wants to be a goalie, find someone.
I would
pay
do that.
Pay him like $800 to suit up.
I'd pay like some kid out of like high school to come to the game that's like really good and say, hey, you want to sit in the crowd for a little bit?
The Rangers had a goaltending injury earlier this season, and a Minnesota Wild, I'm pretty sure he's a fan, but he attends he attended a small college, not D1,
Right.
in Minnesota, and he came down and he was the backup for the Rangers. He
That's
was also
awesome.
at home. They got a call. He got a
Now,
call. And he
say
came
they're
down.
up like 6-1 in the halfway through the third period.
Yeah.
They send him in for.
Oh, that's the best moment ever.
Giggles.
That's the best moment of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. It
Now,
is.
would they make a call to maybe the old UVM goalie and Boston Bruins goalie? Does that ever happen? You think?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, they wouldn't bring like older vets in that.
Well,
haven't played
I
in a
mean,
while.
define old, like 60, no, 40, yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, he quit because he, just didn't want to play hockey
Yeah.
anymore. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah,
we all know
emergency
Bill
goalies,
Russell.
Yeah,
used
emergency
to-
goalies are fun. It's a fun subject to talk
Right.
about because it's such a great story.
Bill
for the-
Russell used to coach the Boston Celtics and play at the same time. So I mean, that's probably the last time we've ever. I mean, we saw this year. You don't remember the team? It wasn't the Padres. No, it was Miami. Miami Marlins.
Marlins, the GM
The
coach.
GM coach. That's the closest thing I've ever seen to that so far.
Yep.
So that's interesting. I hope to see how that works out for the rest of the year.
Well, Smith will be back soon, but until
he
then,
could-
they'll
might
call
break his
someone up from
leg.
the minors.
Yeah, whatever.
So. Yeah, it's a nice, fun night for the emergency goalie.
Switching to baseball, Chris Davis trade to Oakland. Prospects will go the other way.
Those prospects would be catcher Jacob Nottingham and right-handed pitcher with one of my favorite names, Bubba Derby.
Bubba Derby.
That's a great baseball name.
It is.
So Davis is 28. He slashed 247 average, 323 on base, and a 505 slugging last season. 27 homers, 66 RBIs. With this trade, the Brewers kind of fixed what was wrong with them. The Brewers are awful. To be blunt, they're really not good. And Davis is one of a few guys left now that, especially with Gomez gone, he's one of the few guys left that kind of makes fans think that they're a contender. They're not a contender. They're rebuilding right now, and this deal kind of signifies that. Nottingham is a pretty good catching prospect. He had a good year last season with Class A and Class A plus. Derby is pretty good reliever. He's got some good upside. He's not really close to making the major league roster, but with Davis gone, Domingo Santana, a young 22-year-old rookie last season, top 100 prospect, and he's going to get some really good time here.
So, I have one question. How does Ryan Braun fit into the Brewers' outfield plan with Chris Davis gone? Is he back to
He's
his
still
old
he's still a starting outfielder, but
right. So is he back? He just gonna, everyday guy now? He's gonna try to get back to his.
I think
old
so,
self?
but they should probably get a lot of value for him, while they can, especially when the Brewers are this bad and they need to rebuild. They've made some rebuilding moves, and they've had a pretty good offseason under young GM David Stearns in his first offseason. But
So
if they want to truly rebuild, they should ship him and Lucroy out.
well, I heard that because of the guy you mentioned earlier, Santana's arrival. Braun will be moved from right to left field.
Okay.
So, is that almost saying Santana's our guy? We're moving you over. We place him higher than you now.
I don't
and
think
you
that's
could
what
be
that's
gone
saying.
at the MLB at the trade deadline
I don't
next
thi-
season.
I don't think that's what they're saying, but like I said, he should be gone. But I don't think that's what they're saying. I think he's just more comfortable in right. I mean, Santana's he's a good prospect, so you should give Braun and Santana both room to grow. I mean, Braun is older; he doesn't have that much room left to grow. But if you give him enough room, maybe he'll improve back to his former PED-free self.
So he's 32 years old.
Okay.
So he hit 285, 25 homers, 84 RBIs, and 3.8 WAR. What do those stats look like for you?
The WAR's not bad.
Right.
I like the WAR. But yeah, I see Braun as a guy that needs to be dealt if they want to truly rebuild, and they need to get as much value for him as they can. A little bit of breaking news here as we record. The Lions cut Joyke Bell.
All right, so Bell, he was a running back.
He was a backup running back for a while.
He
Kinda
actually
split
played.
time.
I mean, he actually started for a little bit
When he wasn't hurt, pretty much.
Right. He was the guy that played, or no, he's the security guard for Detroit. For their stadium, he was a security guard for a little bit.
I'll take your word on it.
He was.
Okay.
I've watched the video before, and
I never saw that.
then he got a workout and all that stuff. So I don't know if he was drafted by them, but I know he. That was his team. He wanted to stay there. That's kind of interesting. I thought he was a very good backup, and I thought
he just had a lot of injury problems this past season.
Their guy there now, who played a little bit, came out of Arizona, Amir Abdullah.
Yes, I had high hopes for him.
He had some good game. He had a couple good games. Did he get hurt later on the season?
Nothing major. The guy that did get hurt that I thought was actually sneaky good, Zach Zenner, and then he went down with an injury. He had a couple of games before going down. I could see him getting a really increased workload with Abdullah in Detroit.
I think Abdullah would be good. I think he was good in college. I don't see why.
Usually it's good freshman season, bad sophomore. Maybe it'll be reversed.
Be a switch. yes, might be a switch there.
Yep. We're going to transition here back to our Yankee fan base here. The Rangers, not New York, Texas, signed first baseman Ike Davis to a minor league contract. Davis was reported to be in talks with the Yankees. Now, with this Bird injury, that makes us both extremely upset.
Very sad, very sad.
Bird is the word. We will forever miss Bird. Ike Davis was just a minor league replacement that could come up if and when Teixeira gets hurt. Ike Davis was a depth guy, so it's not like they're missing out on, the prized free agent that they were in talks with. But,
right.
I mean, it's not going to hurt the minor league teams. Scranton wasn't that bad a team last season, especially now with Aaron Judge. Full form Aaron Judge, number one Yankees prospect Aaron Judge. They're going to be fine. Ike Davis just was an insurance plan that the Yankees lost out on in this case.
So, I'm going to, ramble on here for a minute.
We got time. Go ahead.
All right. So, Aaron Judge, he's gonna come up during the year. He's going to play...
You think so?
He's going to play right field.
You really think so?
Oh, yes.
Like if Beltran goes down, you mean? Or just in general?
He's just in general going to come up.
Okay. I don't know.
Why not get him
I don't
up
think
early?
they're going to expose him early. I don't know.
I think they will.
It's just something in me.
So,
and if they do,
if Bird's up here, Judge will be. If Bird was going to be up here, Judge. I mean, we all knew Bird was going to be up, so Judge should be. Now I'm looking at a 6'8" right fielder. That doesn't really fit.
275.
That doesn't really fit for me. So I'm looking at maybe guy comes up and hits DH sometimes when A-Rod's not. Maybe he comes up and he's just back up on the bench, plays a little outfield. Why doesn't he just play a little? Why don't they teach him how to play first base? I know that's got to be.
He's played some first base.
Yes,
he has played some first base.
Then why can't
Not
he
a
fill
lot,
the
though.
void until Bird comes back next year?
And then when Bird
guy?
comes back, you move Judge back to right field.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Beltran, and you can when Bird needs a rest, Judge can come down. I want them to be in New York. I want them to be up there. I
just don't know if they want to expose them to that.
In 2017, they're both going to be on the starting roster.
Absolutely.
2016, this coming year, I think it's going to be a mirror of last season with Bird. I think they're going to do the same thing.
With Judge?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
They have to. There's no way. Why wouldn't they?
But why not Slade Heathcote? I mean, you got Aaron Hitz now.
He had his chance.
If an outfielder goes down...
No, he got hurt. But
I was going to say he did great.
Yeah, they're all going to do great in your eyes. But
nope. There are certain Yankees
I've just
been
waiting for Aaron Judge to just make his splash.
Oh, I am too. I love Aaron Judge. I love Jorge Mateo.
We bring him out before the Dodgers bring their guy out, their number one prospect in the MLB.
Oh, Cedar.
Yes.
Okay.
We bring our guy out before they bring their guy out, and we show them who the Yankees really are. They're taking our old methods.
Cedar's better than Judge.
Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah, I think he is. Did you watch Cedar last season? He tore it up.
So.
I mean, the Yankees shortstop prospect Jorge Mateo, I like him too. He could run faster than the speed of sound.
He'll be out 2017, but he'll only play.
I think 2018 he'll be in the starting lineup.
You don't think they'll bring him in the
He's
back
still far
end
away.
of the season?
He was in St. Louis last season, Double-A this season. He's still far away. That was Yankees Hour with Josh and Logan.
I've got more than that.
Just hang out with them, trust me. Let's move on
True.
to the NFL here. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Washington football team and Kirk Cousins are nowhere close in contract talks, and they haven't found any common ground.
So they're not going to sign their starting quarterback.
As it looks right now, they're not.
They're not going to change their logo. What are they going to do?
Or their name, yeah.
The Redskins.
Yeah, no.
I thought he played great for the whole situation. RG3 finally gets
to play great. Yeah, he did.
Who else would have played that well for you? Who else would have got you to the playoffs? He's got you there once. With your defense is kind of subpar. And your offense, you have two great wide receivers with Pierre Gosson, and you have Deshaun Jackson out there. And your running back situation looks better than it ever has. Matt Jones back.
Does it, though?
I think it does.
Yeah? I mean, Alf had an awful season, though.
Yeah, but Matt Jones just came in out of nowhere. And
and then Chris Thompson had an okay season. I wouldn't call it better than ever.
I think for the future, I think it's looking better than ever.
I don't know.
I know. Trust me.
You do know. You know everything.
Trust me.
Speaking of Washington football quarterbacks, RG3, is he a good fit with LA? What do you think? LA Rams.
That's gonna be a little. It's gonna take a little while for that one.
Yeah.
LA Rams, start new face. Maybe that's just what RG3 needs. A new team, a new area, new fans per se.
That's a big market. LA's a big market.
RG3 could.
The
mirror 2011 and just take off again. And if he's healthy, he didn't play most of the year. We know he's healthy. Nope. He's got to be.
Yeah.
If he works,
at least you would hope so.
He works hard this offseason, does a couple, we don't call them pro days, when workouts for the teams. So he could be a good fit. A great defense. We talked about Peyton Manning and maybe his potential. They're definitely going to go for him first if he decides to stay. And leaves Denver, but I doubt they're gonna wait for that. I think that RG3 would be a good fit if they want to change their offense. They don't have much of one right now. It's pretty much hand the ball off.
Well, that, and if you remember from a couple episodes ago, we were talking about maybe Peyton if he comes back, maybe Peyton to the Rams.
Well, like I said, they're not gonna wait for him to make his decision.
No, I don't think they will either.
But
it looks bad trading Bradford for Foles, and then you're already kind of ditching on Foles.
Stuff happens.
Foles had one good season.
Eagles might ditch Bradford.
I don't think they will.
And they might have Foles come back to them. So
I don't think they will.
It was kind of a lose-lose in both those. Nick Foles was very good for the Eagles on a stretch, but
yep.
RG3 could do well there. It just depends on the coaching staff. Are they going to embrace him? And that's the bottom line right there.
Yep. Another guy looking for a new home. We have former Bears running back Matt Forte. Forte was trying to push out of the spotlight when Jeremy Langford came in and had a great showing. The Bears aren't going to re-sign Forte. Where could you see him landing?
So Forte is one of the best running backs the Bears have ever seen. He's second. Oh, he's actually first in rushing all time for the Bears. I'm pretty certain about that over Gale Sayers. No, over Walter Payton.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Over Walter Payton. Gale Sayers is probably third. Josh will double-check that for me.
Yes,
now.
keep talking.
All right. I think he's one of the best out of the backfield catchers of the ball I've ever seen.
Yep.
So he could be very good if he's catching balls, dump passes from any great elite quarterbacks. But one that comes to my mind is Tom Brady. They have a very full set of running backs that we have seen. Want to add something, Josh?
I have an answer for you.
Right.
Peyton still holds the records for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. I believe Forte is second. Go on.
All right, is he number one in all-purpose?
I will let you know. Keep talking.
All right, he's going to let me know. Stat checker, Josh, when he's not talking on the radio.
Yes, that's right.
So, I look at him as one of the best, receivers out of the backfield. As a Vikings fan, I've seen him play a lot. And he's got great speed. He's a bigger guy. He can block. He's pretty much one of the best all-around backs in the league. And they're letting him walk. He's 30. He's 30 in his 30s. He's not going to get any higher on his ceiling. We know that. It's different running backs, He's in his flat line, I guess is what you say, where you're going to have a good production, but not great. You're not going to get any higher, and you're going to stay at the same mark for a little bit, which Peterson is getting into. But the thing that he does better than Peterson is catching the ball in the backfield, running with it, and scoring touchdowns. He's going to put up all-purpose yards around the 120 mark for you sometimes a game.
He's a great receiver.
Yeah, so
he's amazing at that.
Patriots, let's look what they have. All right, he got hurt this year. Deion Lewis, good. He's going to be their
Albany
future.
product, Deion Lewis.
Yeah, he's going to be their future. He went to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
You know, he's a good running back. He can catch the
Albany,
ball.
Area high school.
Yep. LeGarrette Blount hurt.
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson. He's not going to stay.
No, probably
so
not.
I just look at teams.
James White. James White looked good.
Yeah, he did look good.
Yeah, I'll give James White that. He was on my fantasy team. Trust me, I know he looked good. He was on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he looked good, I guess.
I
I'm just
guess.
saying, if you want, the Patriots have never been one for this. They usually have dual backs in the backfield, which we saw with like Green Ellis and
The law firm.
yeah. So I would love to see the Patriots just have one guy, and it's like.
But is Forte that guy? Do you think he would get along with Belichick?
I think he would
and Brady?
be great.
Brady would be able to dump it off a lot.
You know what they do a lot? The Bears. Well, what they used to do is they'd pull him out of the backfield with Jay Cutler,
Mm-hmm.
And they'd move him to wide receiver. So what if you have Gronk on the right, Forte on the left, and you only need one wide receiver in there? Which they've had a problem with. Their wide receivers have been great.
Edelman.
Right, so you put Edelman in there. Now you got a guy that can go up and get it with Gronk, a guy that over the middle, and a deep threat with Forte. And you don't need your blocking could be anyone you want. You just have your line there. You don't even a fullback. So they bring, which they haven't had. They've had running backs go out, and run routes before. But I think Forte would be one of the best they've ever had. And I think he'd love to win a championship and show the Bears, like, this is what you're giving away. Of course, he didn't want to leave. He spent his whole career there. And I read his tweet where he's, like, very sad that they didn't want to, like, bring him back. But
yeah, I mean, it's a business, though.
it's a business, and he understands that. And the owner of the Bears seemed very, very upset that they had to do this. But they're looking for the future, and, well, Forte has a future also, and I think he's going to go somewhere good.
What about Forte to Dallas?
Forte to Dallas. I love Darren McFadden, honestly. I think
do?
They have a good line there, and he's never had a good line in his career, and he's put up decent stats. He was great in college. All right, not decent stats, all right stats, but for like how
McFadden,
good
you're talking about.
Yeah, how good he could be is I think he'd be very good. Dunbar, he's also there, right?
Yes.
For the Cowboys.
He had a bad injury at the end of the
Right,
season.
so he was doing well there for a little bit. McFadden just took over, honestly.
Well, I mean, when Randall left,
Randall left,
and he
he
had
was
the
cut.
off-the-field issues recently. But
they got rid of DeMarco Murray last year. The Cowboys, they could have Forte. Tony Romo, Jerry Jones is always looking for weapons, and it wouldn't be, I'm not going to say, no, they're not going to do this. It could be a good fit, but I think Forte is going to have probably 6 offers on the table while he's done.
Mm-hmm.
When he's done, like, working out for these teams, I think he's going to have a very good pick.
Yep.
Could be a good backup for the Vikings, but we're not going to pay him that money.
You're not.
We have Jerick McKinnon, who's very good, so as backup.
Logan, tell me about Vaughn Taylor.
Vaughn Taylor just won the tournament last Sunday, if you watched. This was a Pro-Am at Pebble Beach, meaning pro-amateur, so they played with, like, influential people in the world, yes. Celebrities, politicians,
so on and so forth.
So, yeah, exactly. So, Vaughn Taylor, 234 PGA Tour events between victories. He's had 3 PGA Tour victories, and this is his first one in a while, since 2005.
Yeah, 11 years.
So, Vaughn Taylor was the future of golf at one point. He looked great. He looked like the next Jordan. Before Jordan Spieth even knew that where he was going to be, this was the guy that they looked at of leading the future with Tiger. And he pretty much fell off the map. He lost his game, is what they described, on Sunday. And he's back. He's dueling with Phil Mickelson at the end. Jonas Blakes was up there. Jakobsen, Awada, who played on the Japanese tour, had 2 victories there. Patrick Reed was there. Justin Rose, Brooks Koepka. So they had a very good lineup there. It's not like he went into some other tournament with like one good player and beat him. It wasn't a 1v1 type deal. He played a very good
Last 18.
sheet of players,
Yeah.
and he played a very good round to
He had a 65, right?
65 to pull off this win. He made 9 birdies, including 4 straight on holes 13 through 16, and he was 4 under on the final 6 holes. And I guess you could say Phil choked a little bit. Phil needed a
Yeah.
birdie to tie on 18, which was a par 5.
Yep.
And he knocked his second shot up close to the green. All he had to do was get up and down. He lipped out a 5-footer for the tie to go into a playoff. But other than that, Vaughn Taylor, great win. Great story, and we're glad to see him back on the scene.
Yep. So there was this Argentinian soccer referee who issued a red card to a player.
Really?
Yep. And the player shot and killed the ref.
Now,
this kind of thing has happened before.
was he carrying the piece
That's
on
what
the soccer field?
That's what I gotta find out. Hang on.
It might be one of those back alley. You know how the refs run out of the stadium and the soccer matches and the basketball matches.
Right.
And they run out real quick, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to have any interaction with the fans because we don't know what's gonna happen, especially over there." Now, this might be one of those locker situations where they're like, "Oh, I want to talk to you about this call later in the game," and this is, I mean, of course, it's not a laughing matter, but God, some crazy stuff happens over there. That's dedication to a sport. We think we're dedicated to some of our sports.
Flores was the name of the player. He was issued the red card, then ran to his backpack, fetched the gun, and ran onto the pitch where he shot the referee 3 times. He also allegedly shot another player.
Oh God.
He was seriously injured, but not life-threatening. The police have yet to capture Flores.
Wow, he made it away.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm surprised
So I'm assuming when you watch these matches on TV, they have their benches, they have their backpacks on the sideline.
Well, in a league like that, yeah.
Like in tennis, they do that also, where they have their bags and the rackets.
I mean, not in England, but yeah.
I'm assuming that he had the gun in there.
He did, yes.
So he must have known something bad was going to happen. He knew he was going to do something that day. He must have.
And maybe it's protection. We don't know what goes on in Argentina.
Well, he obviously protected himself from that ref.
Oh, man.
That's crazy.
Just a depressing story down there. It's not the first time something like this has happened. When you're not playing in one of the big soccer leagues. I don't know. It's something that needs to be changed, but, I mean, what are we going to do from up here?
We're not going to do anything.
Yep.
Let's switch it over, though.
A lighter note.
On the lighter side of things, Josh is going to tell us a little bit about Andy Dalton. He was hurt at the end of the season. But what's been happening to him? NFL season's over.
It was an interesting week for Andy Dalton. Beginning of the week, he was traveling and he lost his luggage. And then through the magic of Twitter, he was able to get his luggage back. And then at the end of the week, American Air lost his luggage again.
Wow.
This time, he tweeted at American Air and said it was your turn to find it. And they did find it.
That's good.
So twice in 1 week, Andy Dalton loses his luggage.
Now, someone must be pissed as a Bengals fan on that line of baggage carriers, because that's something I've never seen other than in Meet the Fockers. So
Yes.
Andy Dalton, better win next year.
Yeah, don't travel, Andy.
At least win one game.
Logan, do you have anything else to add today?
Nope, that's it. Let us know if you have anything else to add, our fans, and take us out.
All right, thanks for tuning in today. Make sure to follow our show on Twitter at RSR Sports Now. You can follow my personal account at Josh Heller20. Logan.
At Logan, all lowercase _ Ripley, RIPLEY.
All right. You can find our archive shows on our SoundCloud page. Go to soundcloud.com/sports-now-RSR. You can also find us on Facebook. If you search Sports Now on Facebook, there's no easy way to do that yet.
Exactly.
We need 25 likes from you.
25. Come on, people. We are waiting.
Thank you for listening to Sports Now on Radio St. Rose. Be sure to tune in next time for all the latest news around the sports world.